Hello, everybody. My name is Oscar Madrigal. I am the chair of the South Pasadena PTA Council Special Needs Committee. We are conducting interviews with the prospective board candidates for school board, and today we are with Erik Gammel. Welcome, Erik. I want to invite you to give us a brief introduction and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Thank you. And thank you for having me. I am thrilled to be here. It's been wonderful to learn more about our community and get to know so many more parents and concerned citizens. Um, so I'd like to tell you first a little bit about my experience that I'll bring to the board, and second, what you can expect from me if elected. First, I began my career by founding an educational software company focusing on visual learning for complex subjects. After receiving my MBA, I worked in business development before shifting my career to the nonprofit sector, and I was the director of an organization called Reach a Child. The organization provides books to children in crisis. Then as a consultant working with nonprofits on their strategic planning, board development, governance, and oversight. I've been an active volunteer in every community I lived in. Before moving to South Pass, I served on the board and chaired the building committee for a nonprofit as we built a new shelter for victims of domestic violence in Madison, Wisconsin. Currently, I serve on the AV PTA Executive Board and have for the past 4 years. I'm on the AYSO Region 214 board. I also serve on my alma mater, Connecticut College's Alumni Association Board of Directors and chair our advancement committee. In my work with nonprofits and board service, I have helped organizations develop good governance, accountability, oversight, and strategic plans, and I'll bring all of these skills to the school board. Secondly, throughout my professional career, I prioritize listening to stakeholders and gathering information from many sources before determining the best solution to a problem. So the same approach I will bring as a member of our school board, and I will be proactive and accessible. I'm committed to ensuring everyone in the community is heard as we work towards what is best for the families in our district. To conclude, my professional experience has given me the skills the board needs around strategic planning, governance, and advocating for the community. And my time volunteering in the classroom has allowed me to see how dedicated our teachers and staff are at ensuring our children have the best education possible. And we need people that are equally dedicated on our school board. Thank you.
Thank you. South Pasadena will have to build a lot more housing in the next few years. Right now, our school system is at capacity. What do you plan to do to try and plan for the potential new students and current overcrowding?
Well, it's a great question. It is it's one of those things that we have to partner with our city, and we have to see what the housing that is approved and what type of housing gets built. Currently, the newest units that are going to be built are our 55 plus community, so obviously that will have a lesser impact on our schools and hopefully really none at that point. But we need to understand also where we are with our enrollment and our capacity once we've spent on and built everything with Measure SP. So once we've gotten all those new buildings built and we look at our enrollment, then we can decide whether or not how we need to plan for the increasing the capacity or our current enrollment. Enrollment fluctuates year to year. If you look at some of our neighboring districts, they're at 60, 70% capacity and talking about closing schools. So we don't want to overexpand for something that may not come to fruition, but we do want to plan. We also want to make sure that we're working with the city and working with developers on their rights fees so that we can fund these programs and continue to fund for our public schools.
Thank you. As the number of students with the highest learning needs in special education increases, what can you do to ensure our district is equipped to best serve them?
Well, thank you. So one of the things I want to make sure is that we're working with all of our partners and coordinating with SELFA and all of our regional partners to make sure that we're putting those kids into a site that works best for them. That might not be in the district, it may be outside of the district, but I want to make sure that we're doing what's best for each of those kids, and continue to do so. I know last fall, I believe it was, the special needs committee presented to the board a survey and survey results, and it's so that the majority of the parents being met, utilizing that program were in favor of it and had a positive outlook on it. And we need to continue to grow that, and we need to continue to make sure we're meeting those students early and intervening earlier as early as possible to help them go through get through everything. But it's going to take coordination. It's going to take a lot of work. It's going to take lobbying on behalf of the state to increase the funding, because we have to provide these services and these services are needed, but we need to make sure that we can afford to do so as well.
Thank you. How should the district best focus on pre-kindergarten populations in our community to promote school readiness? And what knowledge do you bring regarding child development?
Well, I think it's interesting. I think our role as a district is to teach TK through 12, kindergarten through 12 education. We have wonderful preschools in the district in the area, and a lot of them use different models. There's play-based model, there's more structured models, and really, I feel it's up to each family to determine what's best for their child. If they're at that time period. I think it's really not the purview of the school board to go tell Calvary or St. James or BTC and these places how they're supposed to run their programs. At present, we don't have a pre-K program in our district. I know we did at one point. My oldest daughter took advantage of it and had a wonderful experience. But really, our mandate is to work on the K through 12 side of it. And I think we need to look at how we can continue to do that and how we can continue to make sure that those kids that come into our K through K kindergarten program that aren't as prepared as some other kids, that we can accelerate their learning and make sure that they get to grade level and above grade level faster.
Thank you. How do you plan to hold the district accountable in improving outcomes for students, and what data elements would you focus on?
Well, it's interesting when you ask about outcomes. It comes down to, are we talking about test scores? And really, in my opinion, that's not the outcome that I'd be looking for. I want to make sure that we're teaching the whole child. And so, you're looking at satisfaction, you're looking at child development, you're looking obviously at enrollment and especially attention and whether or not are the kids engaging all the way through from in the middle, elementary, middle, and high school. Are they engaged in their education? Are they getting what they need from each of their classes and their teachers? And that at that point, the whole accountability side of it is making sure the leadership of the district, the superintendents and the principals understand that this is what the board wants. This is what the community wants. We want our students to be well-rounded. We want our students to be critical thinkers. We want our students to be problem solvers and most importantly, good citizens. And we want to make sure that we're meeting all of our students and setting them up for success in whatever their career path is. For some, that is going to be going on to college. For some, that is going to be technical or trade schools, and some that's going to be right into the job market and into their careers. And we want to make sure that we're meeting every child where they are and setting them up for success.
Thank you. Thank you. How would you work to ensure board and school-based decisions are transparent?
Well, thank you for asking this. This is a fantastic question. I think one of those things that we want to make sure we're doing is being proactive with our communication and outreach, and be accessible as board members. As I've said before, I've held many open listening sessions to hear from our community, and I continue to do those up through election. And if elected, we'll do them regularly. I hope at some point in time it will be at Jones's or Caldy and not over Zoom, but I will continue to do it because I want to hear. Throughout my professional career, as I said, I value listening to all stakeholders before coming to a decision. And I will be accessible and open for everyone and give everyone as much time as they need to explain their opinion to me. This is the same approach that I will take as a member of the school board. I think, we really want to make sure that everyone's voice is being heard and valued, but we also want to make sure that we are being transparent in our decision making and transparent in our communication so that people understand why certain things are done. And I just don't think there is quite enough of that currently. And especially now in days like now where every decision seems very vital and every decision seems, again, we're in a global pandemic. Every decision is people are hanging on them and waiting for them. And, I applaud the district for putting out the survey and getting the results done quickly, but I would like to have seen that happen 4 weeks into the school year, not 8 weeks into the school year. So we really need to have that open dialogue and show that I'm accessible. I'm there. I'm ready to listen, and I'm ready to hear your voice and value it.
Thank you. Inclusion of special education students into mainstream classrooms has been shown to have positive benefits for all students. How will you advocate for inclusion and support our administrators and teachers to create effective opportunities for inclusion?
Thank you. This is something I have seen firsthand as a dedicated classroom volunteer in my daughter's elementary school classes. I remember my daughters talking about their Tuesday friends and their Wednesday friends as those kids came into their kindergarten or first grade or, TK for my youngest who was in their classroom. And I saw the benefits of them spending time with students of special needs and the special needs students being in that classroom. And I saw them grow throughout the year, both my daughters as well as the students that were coming in. So it is valuable and it is very vital for all the students in the classrooms. And I've seen the impact it has because, one of the Tuesday friends that was in TK with my daughter was in the traditional kindergarten classroom and is now in a traditional first grade classroom. And you see that growth was able to happen because they had that interchange. So you want to make sure that the administrators understand that that's something we want to continue to have, because we see the positive outputs, and we want to make sure we're supporting them and the teachers, including to have those students included.
Thank you. As students in special education begin high school, planning for their transition into adulthood becomes the responsibility of the school as part of their IEP. How would you support our district staff and teachers in creating and implementing effective transition programs for our students?
Well, I think it's important for not just for our special needs students, but for all of our students. So, I want to make sure we're meeting all of our students exactly where they are in their learning, in their development, and in their learning process, and in their world. And so that means setting them up for success in whatever that comes next, and making sure that they're ready for, be it PCC, be it USC, be it a trade school, and going right into the workforce. And yes, for the students of our special needs, making sure they're ready to continue into adulthood, wherever that may go. And we need to make sure we have the programs in place that bring the kids to campus and get them excited about going to school. And for that, we need a robust arts program, robust electives, robust athletic program, so that we can get those kids excited about coming to school and make sure we meet them where they are in their education, and then set them all up for a good career path, if that's the case, or for the next step in their education.
Thank you. Having a solid multi-tiered system of support, or MTSS, can ensure that we support our students who are falling behind, for example, our EL population. How will you as a board member ensure that our instructional focus includes the development of a strong MTSS?
Well, I think a strong MTSS is very important, especially for those students that are falling behind or are English language learners. And I want to make sure that we are meeting their needs, and intervening and having intervention programs that start earlier. Because if we can start earlier, that gap is going to be smaller. And we also need to work with our community partners and work with our community at large to help these kids, because we as a district won't be able to do it ourselves. So we need to look at what resources are available throughout the community. And we really need to leverage them. I mean, we are a community of JPL scientists, Caltech scientists, Hollywood writers and producers and actors and musicians. We have so much out there in our community that we can leverage better to help these students and help all of our students continue to grow, but especially those that are further behind. And unfortunately, this year is with distance learning, many of those students that are already behind aren't getting the help they need. And we need to figure out a way to work with them so that they don't fall even further behind during distance learning, so that they can't, to the point where they can't catch up when we get back.
Thank you. The state of California had adopted social emotional learning competencies for all schools. What policies would you support or create to ensure that our school district is meeting these competencies?
Well, thank you. I would say we really need to, again, focus on our social and emotional well-being and our curriculum, in at all levels. I see it at the elementary school with some of the SPEF grants that allow the programs to come in, and it's fantastic. And hearing my own daughters talk about empathy and their feelings at such a young age because of the curriculum that's there, and I want to make sure we're doing that at all levels and continue to do so. I want to make sure that we're supporting, especially our high schoolers, with their stress and the level of just anxiety that they're feeling. And I know currently we only have one social worker to split up between the two, both the middle and the high school. And I would look to see if there are ways with grants and other funding to increase that, and ways to find more help for kids when they need it. I'm glad the district partnered and with an organization to give kids access to mental health during the pandemic. But we need to continue to do that. We need to continue to work with our school counselors and our school psychologists to make sure we're providing everything for our teachers so that they can teach the core competencies to our kids, but also helping our kids get through what they're going through now and what they continue to go through as they grow.
Thank you. Given that South Pasadena receives far less in per pupil spending than neighboring districts due to our state formulas, what approaches would you advise to maximize revenue to meet district needs?
Well, it's a very interesting one. I mean, obviously we need to, unless there is complete overhaul of how the federal and state government funds our public education, we are going to have to make some very tough decisions with our budget. It's just a no. And we do receive less per pupil funding, and we can advocate in Sacramento and DC with like-minded districts to increase that funding per pupil, and I think we should do that. The other part is really, throughout my career working with nonprofits and sitting on boards, is looking at your budget, looking over the budget, and finding any little creative way, finding any little waste, a little bit of savings here and a little bit of savings here, and those all start to add up and now allow you to do other things. And then again, I think we have as I mentioned, we have a fantastic community, and we can leverage community resources better as a district to help all of the students in our district.
Thank you. What is your position on continuing dual immersion programs into the middle school or high school, especially with current funding challenges? How would you speak to parents who are concerned about continuing or eliminating these programs? And how do you support equity and language learning opportunities for students that can't get into the DI programs?
Well, our DI program is a fantastic program, both in Monterey Hills with the Spanish and the Mandarin in Marengo. And I found it was courageous of our district to start a program because we are traditionally not the size of a district or the type of the district that would start a dual immersion program. We don't have a lot of English language learners in our dual immersion program. We're not a very large district. So our board and district took a leap of faith and started the program. Unfortunately, though, they stopped at that point when it was proven that it was viable at the elementary level. There wasn't the planning in place to figure out how to bring it to the upper level, the secondary level, to the middle, and then to the high school, and what that would look like. And unfortunately, we're in a situation now where we have fifth graders in the Spanish program, and next year we'll be in the middle school. And what can we do for them? Because the district did make a promise to those families and for the program that it would continue. The other side of it, of course, is it has to continue, but it's got to be equitable. You have to figure out a way to have the class sizes be equitable, and the resources that you're allocating, work for all families, not just the kids that are in the dual immersion program. I'd also love to see foreign languages being taught at the elementary level. As someone who is trilingual, I understand the value of learning a language early and learning it at a young age, as opposed to trying to learn it when you first get to high school or even in middle school.
Thank you. The number of students with active IEPs in South Pasadena Unified has increased in the past couple of years. How will you address the funding challenges that this will bring to our district?
Well, thank you. This is just one of the many funding challenges that are in the district. As I mentioned before, the families that had, those families that were IEPs were very satisfied with the way the district was using them and was, working with them and helping their children. So therefore, you get a reputation of being good with that kind of program. You're going to get families that will move to the district just for that reason. We have families that move to the district because we have fantastic schools as well. And they all bring budgetary problems. However, I want to make sure that we are still providing the same level of excellence for these families and the same level of service for these students so that they continue to thrive and can continue to learn and can continue to develop.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Included in the SPUSD mission is a commitment to recognizing and valuing the diversity, backgrounds, and abilities of all students and providing them the encouragement to reach their full potential. There are two questions regarding this mission statement. The first, according to EdSource, the data from the 2019 California Smarter Balance test results indicate that an achievement gap exists by race and ethnicity and income levels in our district. What is your plan to address these gaps?
Well, thank you. Yes, we do have an achievement gap around race and ethnicity and income levels, and it's similar to a lot of districts. It's similar to national trends, and it's unfortunate. One of the things we need to do is make sure, again, that we are having good intervention programs earlier so that we can help close those gaps so that they don't continue to widen. And I think that's one of those things we need to, again, focus with our community partners and work within our district as well to help identify those kids that are struggling and then getting them into the intervention program so that early at the elementary level so that their gap can slowly disappear. And it's also getting the kids, again, excited about coming to school, especially at the secondary level, and finding out what interests them. Because if they're interested and excited about going for their arts program or the band, or the yearbook, well, then that might then pique their interest again and a little bit make them listen a little bit more in math class and work harder at that level, and continue to work to be able to be, again, a better citizen, a critical thinker, and a problem solver. And then hopefully over time, we can close that gap.
The second question related to this mission: how will you help to increase teacher diversity in all schools? What can you do to make our district more diversified and reflect the diversity of our community and county?
Thank you. It's a great question because children need to be able to see themselves in their teachers and in their school leadership, and it's something we do need to work on. And I know that the district is working on trying to hire a more diverse faculty and staff, and so that they can really see, children can see themselves. But we can also do it through the curriculum and making sure that our authors that we're choosing are a diverse group of individuals. I remember my wife and I talking about our oldest daughter and talking about, well, what books should she read? And we started talking about the classics. And of course, most of the classics were all written by white men. And it's not a very good diverse group, and it's not a representative group. But so we had to look and really research and say, well, what other books are out there for her to read? And so we can do that through our curriculum. We can do that through our hiring of teachers as well as our hiring of administrators. And we want to make sure we're doing that. One of the reasons why my wife and I chose to live in South Pasadena was for the diversity, was for the socioeconomic diversity, as well as the diversity in our community. And we absolutely love it. We wanted our children to go to schools with people that didn't just look like them. And we've been able to have that in our experience in South Pasadena. And I want to make sure that it continues. And I want to make sure that they have teachers that are diverse in their backgrounds, as well as in their educations.
Thank you. When a school district purchases curriculum or programming such as Second Step, how does the board ensure that they are receiving accurate information and holding school administration accountable for the implementation of these programs?
Thank you. I think this is one of those things about the accountability and oversight and the accessibility. So it's listening to our fellow parents and our families and asking them, well, we just purchased a new science curriculum. How is it going for you? And asking our teachers and hearing from them and hearing from a variety of sources so that you're getting accurate information. I think we are always looking to make sure that we're ordering and having high quality of a curriculum. But we want to always be testing our curriculum and making sure it is the best and constantly reevaluating what we're doing and making sure we're improving and not just maintaining or resting on our laurels. So I think you're right. It is also allowing the experts in education and in our administration and our teachers to tell us what they need, and holding them then responsible for when they receive it, for utilizing it and making sure when they have it and they are utilizing it, is it having an impact and testing that impact. But again, it's really on that oversight and the accountability side is trusting the leadership that you put in place, that the board has hired, and making sure that they are providing you with accurate information, and also then following up and being accessible to our community at large, so that if it's not being utilized, we hear that and then ask the question as to why.
Thank you. Erik, I want to thank you for your time with us. And I want to give you an opportunity to give us any closing remarks. Are there any questions that we didn't ask you that you would like to address, or any closing remarks that you'd like to provide to us?
Sure. As I said, as a father of two elementary school students, I have a vested interest in ensuring our district rises to meet the challenges posed today and works for all of our families. I spend my career helping nonprofits plan strategically, create accountability, and focus on governance and oversights and their budgets. This, I feel, uniquely prepares me to help our students and the district meet the challenges and funding shortfalls that we face. One of the things I do work on with organizations is board development. And I know for a good board to have accountability and be good at governance and oversight, they need a diversity of backgrounds. You need different schools of thought. It can't just have one type of individual or one type of education in a board. You need very different viewpoints, different thoughts. They're going to bring different questions. And I want to make sure that we have that on our school board.
Thank you.